Welcome back to Management Development Unlocked. I am very pleased that you're here. I'm Eric Girard, and I'm the CEO of Girard Training Solutions, a management development firm that focuses on helping new managers transform from high-performing individual contributors to outstanding people managers. I also have an Amazon #1 best-selling book called Lead Like a Pro, The Essential Guide for New Managers. And today, I am delighted to have Rosina Racioppi with me. Rosina, welcome to the show. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, I'm thrilled to be here. I have the pleasure of leading an organization, Women Unlimited, and we partner with organizations, mostly Fortune 500, who have as part of their business strategy increasing the number of women who are advancing as leaders. The programs that we offer are experiential development programs that not only benefit the women who attend, but also their managers and senior leaders who participate as mentors.
Oh, this is going to be a great conversation. We haven't come at management from this lens before, and as my longtime listeners know, my goal is to try to come at management from as many different points of view as possible to help new managers thrive. So I'm really excited to talk about this particular focus today. All right. So my first question for you is, what are some typical obstacles new managers might hit, just in general?
I think just in general, what I've seen, because before I joined Women Unlimited, I led HR in various organizations. And so I think the transition from a functional expert, right, in operations, in marketing, in accounting, to then managing people who once had the roles that you fulfilled is that transition, right? Managing the work is different than doing the work. And if I'm a manager, I need to help others find a way to do the work, not replicating my methodology, right? But a lot of new managers feel like I've honed my expertise. I know the best way to do this. So, you're going to do this exactly the way I did it. I'm going to save you the trouble. And what happens is you're diminishing that person's value, right? That person has technical expertise of their own. At the end of the day, you only care that the work gets done, the deliverable dates and needs are met. The method, what path they use, doesn't really matter as much sometimes as new managers put on that aspect of it.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I think delegation is so important, and it's something that I talk about a lot in my courses and in my book. Is you've got to become a master at delegating. You've got to let go. Otherwise, you become the pinch point. You become the bottleneck, and that frustrates people sometimes to the point that they leave, and that's no good. Right. So, yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I think what happens is there's a confusion of the value of the role, right? As a manager, sometimes, especially when we're a first manager, we're not really sure, or we're uncertain of how do we add value in this new role. I knew how I added value as an accountant, as a marketing analyst, but now that I'm managing, what exactly at the end of the day is the value that I'm creating in the organization that I'm a part of? And so it's understanding as a manager, defining that so I can be clear about why I'm in this role and what is the purpose of it. And so then when you can be clear about that, then it's easier to delegate, because if I take my time doing the work that I used to do, I'm really not fulfilling the needs of the organization of why I'm in that role.
Yeah, I think that's an important piece of making that psychological transition from I'm an individual responsible for tasks to I'm a leader responsible for getting results through other people. And that's a very important role. Right. And new managers need to understand that. It's like, okay, you're not producing widgets anymore, but you're still orchestrating a team to get it done. And that matters a lot.
Right. Yeah, I like that term, orchestrating a team. And so part of being that conductor, if you will, of results, it requires you to be able to have meaningful feedback conversations with the people on your team. What's working? What are they doing well that you want repeated and you want to build on that expertise? And what are some things they need to do differently so they can ensure that they are effective in their role? And I find that for many managers, there is such a high level of discomfort having these conversations. And what I like to advise leaders and managers is to start with, why are you giving this guidance to the person, and be explicit. I often will say to my team members, my goal is to help you be successful in your role. And so I want to talk to you about things that I'm seeing that I want you to do more of. And there's some things that you need to think about doing differently. And where I see managers get tripped up is then they go on and tell them exactly, here's how I want you to fix the way you're doing it. And that becomes a problem because people want to come up with the solution themselves. I'm going to be more committed to working in a certain way if I come up with the path forward versus if you tell me, I may not be bought in.
Yeah, then you're just an automaton, okay, all right, I'll go do it your way. You get the
Right.
joystick and you direct me. Yeah, there's a fantastic book by Dan Pink called Drive. And in it, he talks about autonomy, mastery, and purpose being the three things that really drive employees today. And I talk about it all the time and highly recommend it. Yeah. Well, let's drill down. Let's go down another layer and talk about what advice do you have specifically for women stepping into managerial roles? Because up to this point, we've talked about generic management. Now, what would you say to a woman stepping into a managerial role for the first time?
Well, I think it would be the same as what we just talked about, in addition to make certain that they are focused on how they are navigating the landscape they're a part of to make sure that they are positioning themselves to be effective. Some of the things that I see women do more often than men is holding on too tightly to the work, not stepping fully into the management responsibilities, and also not owning their success. So when the team has a success, rather than saying, I'm really proud that, I was able to set the direction and we navigated through this period of time and accomplished X, Y, and Z, they'll combine their comments to like the entire team. Like, we as a team did. And while it's important to recognize the individual contribution, you don't allow that to overtake your contribution as well. And so for a lot of women, what we hear, and we've heard this for 30 years, is, I want my work to speak for me. And that is one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves as women, because we don't really know, if you're watching me work, if you're watching me do something, how you're interpreting what you're seeing. Is it what I want you to see, or is it something different? And if it is different, how do I know? So if I'm not positioning my value in the way that I advocate for myself, I'm leaving it to others to make that definition. And it can either help me, or in most cases, it's going to hinder my advancement.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And so what we're really focusing on is making sure that your value contribution is clear. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it's not that hard to do. It could be as simple as, when we were looking at this project, I wanted to make sure that these were the three things that we accomplished, A, B, C, and D. So you're demonstrating, I understand the business, I understand the strategic value of this work. And I am fortunate to have a team that has the expertise so that we were able to execute on that. I'm not diminishing the value of my team, but I'm also highlighting my role in setting the agenda and setting the direction.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, so make sure it's clear. All right. Well, let's change tack a little bit and talk a little bit about mentorship. I think that mentorship is hugely important. I've got a couple of mentors right now. I've had mentors my whole career. So, can you describe the value of mentorship for managers, especially female managers?
So, we cannot, we believe, we don't do it alone, right? As much as we are capable, intelligent beings, we're limited by our own perspective and our own understanding. And mentors always know something we don't know. And that is the heart of why mentoring relationships are so critical. And I think for women in particular, women often do not get I would say, the caliber or the quality of career guidance and feedback as our male counterparts. And while that may be true for a whole host of reasons, we believe in the work that we do that women don't need to be a victim of those circumstances. And so, how do you build relationships with mentors in particular within your network to ensure that you have avenues of information and insight so that you're getting the information you need to grow your career? So as a mentor, the way that we position mentoring in our programs and the way that we help the women create a framework to really utilize these relationships to give them clarity to create momentum in their growth and their career is to start with, what is it that you want? Um, each of us has, I'm going to say, a broad array of skills and competencies that we bring to the roles that we have. And in that set of skills and competencies, there's a subset that when we're doing work and using certain skills, that's the part that, like, we're excited, right? I'm excited for you, right, to work with people on management, because that's my happy place. Daniel Goleman calls that's my flow, right? I'm happy about that. So it's women, we all need to have that clarity, right? What is your flow? And then based on that, what might be some roles that, as you're thinking about growing your career, that you aspire to? And that's where you have a conversation with your mentors. So mentors are not the person who gives you the answer, but mentors are the persons who can help you explore the options in front of you and help you get momentum and direction for your growth and development. You have the answer in you. They're just going to help you unpack it and create a strategy for your own success.
And that's been my experience with my mentors as well. Sometimes I'll insist on an answer, like, just tell me how to do this thing. But more often than not, it's guidance. You could do this, you could do that, you could do
Yeah.
that. Which path do you think is going to get you the results you want?
Yeah. Yeah. What I think is interesting is that, I know a lot of organizations that have mentoring programs, and I'll have people will tell me, well, it's really not that helpful. And I'll ask, well, what do they do? Well, they have a framework. They say how long we're going to meet. They have a methodology for picking the mentees and a method for picking the mentors, and then we meet. And and a lot of the work is done in that space, but there isn't a lot of work done in preparation for the individuals who are being mentored. I'll call them a mentee, or for the mentors to help them understand what's the best way for me to approach this relationship so I'm supporting the individual as in the best way that I can. And that is really where the attention needs to be placed, right? We need to help individuals understand what's the
Mm-hmm.
preparation that I need in order to be intentional in the ways that I'm using the conversation with my mentor. So I'm at the back end of it going to get out of it what I need. And when I did my research for my doctoral dissertation, it was interesting to me what I found. There were a group of women who were very honest. They're like, I really didn't know and didn't prepare for my mentor conversation. So we had interesting conversations, but there really wasn't anything of value afterwards. Well, not surprising, right? If I'm just having a conversation with you and we're just roaming around some different ideas, am I really going to get anything that has stickiness for my growth and development? But when the women took time before they met with their mentor, looked at maybe 360 assessments, considered what are some things that they're looking to achieve in their career, and with that, we're able to create a focus for their conversations, then there was value from the mentor conversations because they could say, Eric, I'm struggling with what the best next step is for my career. Um, Here's some things that I've done that were interesting. Here's some things I want to avoid. And through that conversation, I'm going to get some insight that then will help me get to that next step. But that's not enough. So that's like level one. All right. We had a decent conversation. It's having the succession of conversations where my mentor will say, so, what happened? What did you do in the space of time since our last conversation? And what did you learn? Right. So it's that self awareness, reflection that then helps me identify, oh, here's the next step. Through that conversation, I identify the next step. So the iterative nature of the conversations, the back and forth, allows me to then create that momentum in my growth and development.
It's something that strikes me is what you're talking about and my experience running a mentor program in Silicon Valley several years ago and how difficult it is. I didn't have a tool for it. I had Excel. And so I would put together 3 big Excel spreadsheets and line them up across my monitors and sit there with a cup of coffee and try to magically figure out how I'm going to link a good mentor with an appropriate mentee and make sure that they have productive conversations. And
Right.
it was hit and miss. It didn't always work out well. And I would get somebody coming back saying that conversation was a dud. Could we try again? So it takes a lot of work to get people to the point where they can have the discussions you're discussing.
Absolutely. I think, going in cold, right, and just matching people without the preparation, both for the mentee as well as for the mentor, you're really not going to have great success from a developmental perspective. What we do in our programs is the women participate in a 360 assessment. They spend a lot of time, sifting through the data to create a, a framework, right, of what their focus will be for their development. So that work is important for them to do by themselves, really just, and sometimes it could be, I have a lot of information and I'm still not sure what the best next thing might be for me. And that, to me, that uncertainty of career direction is also a place to start a conversation with a mentor. I've done X, Y, and Z, and I just don't know what the next step is. And I think for many people, especially when you look at the disruption in organizations today, we see organizations getting flatter, getting rid of management levels. Um, you talk about what's going on in Silicon Valley. I mean, it makes individuals feel uncertain. So we may not want to stretch too far, too high, and that uncertainty is a place to start. I'm just unsure. I'm scared. I don't want to expand too broad because it might put me in a position where I might lose my job. Whatever that is, your mentor relationship should be a place that you can have those safe conversations, right? You need to put it all on the table, because if you're not able to put it all on the table, you're not going to have a strong strategy for growth and development.
Absolutely. Well, let's hear from you on this. Do you have a personal story you can share on how mentorship impacted your own career?
I feel like when I think about it, I've been very fortunate. I've had really good managers, um, good leaders that put me in situations where um, I grew and I learned in the roles that I had. But I would say the most significant mentor I had is from the woman that founded Women Unlimited. I met Jean Ott when she was launching Women Unlimited. I was head of HR in a chemical business, and she was sharing with people in her network this organization she was launching to help women become senior leaders. I ended up sponsoring women in the program. She asked me to be a mentor. And as she was evolving the business, she would invite me to different forums to get feedback on what we liked about the work that she was doing, what we would suggest she does, what she could do differently. And through the course of that, we developed, I'm going to say, a professional friendship that then morphed into a personal friendship. As I left my corporate role, we stayed in touch. Her business was growing, and she realized, I need help. I can't keep doing this by myself. And she asked me to join her running the Northeast part of our business. Our programs at the time were in person across the country. And so I joined her, um, in the third year of the business. I helped her grow the business. We really had a great relationship. And Jean nurtured my interest in the business, and she nurtured my ability to run the business, putting me in situations, asking me to step up and help her run the business. And then when she wanted to retire, I ended up buying the business. So she was someone that, over the 10 years that we worked together, was always pushing me out of my comfort zone, providing me feedback. And when we think about this, sometimes people think, oh, it's so hard and uncomfortable. We would just, at the end of each session we were together, what worked really well? What did you feel good about what you did? What's something that maybe you want some feedback on? And that ease of give and take really helped me step into the role that have today in leading this
Nice.
organization.
Right on. Yeah, I've been lucky as well to have some amazing mentors. I started mentoring with my first manager in Silicon Valley in 1999, and we're still in touch. So some of those
Isn't that great?
relationships endure. Well, let's talk about
Yeah.
you and your company, Women Unlimited. You've alluded to it, so tell us a little more about that.
So we've actually been doing this work for 30 years, and we partner with companies, about 250 different organizations that are global, that see as part of their business strategy is of having a diverse talent pipeline. So women will attend our programs in a cohort with other women from other companies. So imagine, if you will, a room of 25 to 40 women from about 20 different companies who will go through a development experience and learn with and from one another. So they'll complete a 360. As I said before, they'll create a focus for their development, and then they will meet their mentors, and they'll create a network across the women that they're in the program with. We believe the framework of our learning is mentoring, education, and networking. Education is kind of the focus, the competency focus. And it's bookended by two relationships because we know that for all business people, it's critical to have a network and mentors. And it's even more important for women. We need a network of very diverse people that can broaden our understanding of our business and ourselves. And we need those developmental relationships as well. So our programs are designed for women early career, mid-career, and senior leaders. But we don't just work with the women in organizations. We also work with their managers. And I know that managers is a big focus of yours. Because our programs are external, it's critical that the managers are well versed in what happens in our program and that they're prepared to support the women's learning and growth and development back in the organization. And so from the beginning of the program to the end, the managers are aware of what the topics are, what our areas of focus are, and more importantly, how they can bridge the learning back into the organization. And then we have senior leaders, men and women, that participate as mentors. So we look at what we do as impacting the entire organization to help the organization become more inclusive in how they develop and tap into the talent of the organization.
Excellent. Well, on that note, Rosina, I really appreciate all of your insights. It's been a very enlightening conversation. Tell us how people can find you if they want to learn more.
You can certainly find us, find me on LinkedIn. Please reach out and connect. Would love to hear from you. And we are, our website is Women-Unlimited. And so just connect and you'll see all the information about our programs.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Please subscribe to the show and connect with me on LinkedIn. Pick up my book, Lead Like a Pro, The Essential Guide for New Managers, available on Amazon. The first 2 chapters are free on my website, GerardTrainingSolutions.com. If you'd like to chat about how I can help you or your new managers, please drop me a line via my website, GerardTrainingSolutions.com. We will catch you on the next one with another amazing guest. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.